Okay, good evening and welcome everyone to the Galactic Goddess Roundtables every month on the 13th of every month. Today's date is the 13th of November 2025 and it is precisely 8 minutes past 7 p.m. here in Ireland. And this evening we are joined by Christy Campbell and
Hi, everybody.
Love.
Hello.
So I was thinking some of the things that would be nice to talk about this evening are always current events. I always like talking about current events. And so within the spiritual field, that would probably be the 3i Atlas and also what's going on in America. Could you guys please introduce yourselves and also say where you are in the world?
You first.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Christy Campbell, and I'm from Oklahoma in the U.S. And I'm an author and a Karuna Reiki master. I'm an artist, and I also do readings for people to help people find like the anything like the super soldier or my lab experiences, things that are like shadow aspects of themselves that they're having questions about. Then I can do like this session with them to help them like it releases it up out of them, or they have like hidden things that they maybe one person was thinking that they are scared of heights, so they came to me and then I help them see why. Maybe it's a past trauma or something. So I do those readings to help people expand themselves and come out of any kind of release any kind of dark, hidden, or anything like that, trauma, things like that. So that's what the Karuna Reiki that assists me with doing those things, those sessions for people. So yeah, so let's go ahead.
Thank you, Christy.
Mm-hmm.
Flix, you're up next.
I'm Flix Love, or Felicia. I write light language songs. I share a website with spiritual information, things I downloaded or visions I had. And I also share cover songs that were inspired by spirit. I can channel my higher self and my aspects. I've unlocked many of my higher dimensional aspects. And I'm a creative being, so I do all sorts of things that are seemingly totally unrelated to making music. And I live in the Netherlands. And I'm part a little bit of the typical skeptic podcast community, where we started with a community on the Discord server in the beginning, where we could share a lot of information as starseeds. And that was wonderful, where we would practice a little bit of remote viewing, things like that, and just talk about our experiences. And I hope that this group is also a contribution to that, not just amongst ourselves, but as an inspiration for others, that it is very important to share your own experiences, because it helps if you hear someone else, even if it's completely different, that how you evolve through that. And things that might be of assistance to yourself, like a certain breathing work, or the simple things can be sometimes the more earthly things for the human body is sometimes what is most helpful on your spiritual path, instead of just the development of the higher spiritual faculties. So
yeah, that's something I found, Flix, is that I came in born, and this is probably the same for you guys. I came in born back to front, meaning that I was very aware of a lot of the spiritual stuff, it was, so that's not something I've had to learn, or what I've had to learn is the grounding and the being here and pulling all of that energy in and getting it out there. So that's what I mean when I would say I was born back to front. And I'm sure it's the same for you guys.
Yeah, I think that I have an issue with the earthly things, like with grounding, staying grounded, the survival stuff, you know, like the root and sacral kind of, that's my area too. The upper seems to always be open, but then it's grounding it all out and then making it more physical into this reality. That's what the challenge is, you know, for me. So,
And where are you again, Christy?
it's above Texas. Oklahoma is above Texas.
Okay.
You know where that is in the US?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows where Texas is. So yeah, right
Yeah.
there.
Okay. So, will we start with Trump or Three-Eye Atlas?
Whatever you want.
Maybe, maybe let's start. Will we start with the 3D, or let's start with the higher stuff? So recently I did let's start with Three-Eye Atlas then. So recently I did a channeling from Ashtar and the Pleiadians, which is available on YouTube and Rumble, and also Substack. And that was what I was shown, and the information that came through is that it's like a mothership, and I was seeing lots of different beings on it and lots of different rooms. Very internally, there was a lot of light. And so that's you. I think you can still see that on YouTube. But yeah, over to you.
To Flix or to me or whoever.
Whoever wants
Okay.
wants to go next.
Yeah, I know that I had the video with Tim Seabury. He went on to that, like to the Three-Eye Atlas ship, and it's a progenitor, like a space arc, kind of like an arc ship, you know, from all these councils of beings that are ancient beings on it. And when he said that, then I saw myself on it, as my Lyran hybrid aspect there. She's like a kind of like a fox, a little bit like a fox cat. And I seen her up there, and he saw her too. And he said, yes, she came and hugged me. I remember seeing her. So then that connected me to the ship, and I could see it looked like a mall, like a shopping mall, kind of how that looks, you know, like a really many layers of a mall looking thing, like busy with people and stuff, and shops were like the meeting rooms or homes or places, things going on. So definitely I think it's entered into our atmosphere to it's, and I also think it's like part of the Hopi prophecy. Have you heard of that? The Hopi prophecy. So, and it's where it's coming in. It's going to be it's going to transform. It's it's part of their prophecy with everything too. The red skies and everything, even too, with the how it made the skies red from the Borealis, because I saw it took some plasma from the sun, so that makes the ejections and makes us have like the geomagnetic storm 5, the 5 category, and that made the skies red. But that's part of the purification, and I feel like that's part of what's going on right now, is everything's kind of being purified, or um, moving into a new era. It's supposed to be moving into the 5th world for the Hopi prophecy. So yeah, lots of new things. And it was on 11/11 too that those things were happening. So it's like a gateway as well, like that too. So yeah.
There seems to be a lot of remembrance about the message. There was a message in the UK, I think it was in the 70s, where the TV was what's the word? I don't know, kidnapped by there was an alien message that came through from the Pleiadians, and there seems to be a lot of people being reminded about that. So, which is interesting because I think the timing is interesting, and also to do with the Hopi prophecy. And I got a very strong sense of when I was seeing that, and when I was doing the channeling on 3i Atlas, there are people that are saying they've seen the similar thing or the same thing. But it's interesting because I also felt that there was an energy coming from it that was coded with like an energetic code for the people on Earth. That's what I felt. I felt like there's codes coming in the closer they get.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they were picking up because our sun has the codes too, so it was fueling up plasma, and so it's kind of taken the energy of all of the earth and everything, all of the solar system of the, like records and stuff like that, like receiving that, but also giving. So it's like an exchange of that too. So I do believe that too with the codes, giving people, maybe helping them, but I don't know if it's going to be, I'm not sure how it will help each, because I think it might be individual, but also as the whole, maybe an upgrade or so in frequency, maybe something like that too. Because a lot of people say that they slept last night, so they slept longer. So maybe that gave them more time to process the everything, So we kind of go through ups and downs. But the geomagnetic storm 5 and the KP level was at 8. So that's really high. That's extremely high. Yeah, so yep.
I feel it more like we as the collective of humanity are like a big body, but it's only in the etheric layer more so, and the spiritual higher layers. And we attract things towards us now. So we attract things like discoveries on Earth, like with the Giza Plateau also, but and we have attracted this comet and also Lemon and the other ones. We are attracting them because they bring old information that we need now. So it is as we in our ascension process, we remember things from past lives, but the collective soul of humanity also has memories, and those memories are being literally coming towards us through those, because it's in the water of the comets. And so we sort of manifested collectively, you could say. And for those who are unable to remote view, what I did is that I was sun gazing, and I couldn't perceive the comet yet the past few weeks, but I have been seeing a lot of ships around the sun for longer, like 2 years or something. And they always show me a geometric pattern. So I recognize which of the soul family is participating in that particular event of that time. So it's more like a triangle, or it has a more oval shape or another shape, or the diamond shape often also, and they work together. Sometimes it's both, and they're moving. You can slowly see them moving, or across double days. And today or yesterday, it was yesterday, when I was sun gazing, and I saw to the right of the sun a more bluish kind of sun. That's what my mind interpreted it as. I wasn't even busy with 3i Atlas, although it's everywhere. From the start, I was sort of ignoring it, like, oh yeah, that's what's coming in now, of course, you know, makes sense, but it's not sensational to me. And then so it was like a blue sun, and there were like greenish kind colored ships. So on the sun side, higher up to the left, and below there were like 4 of them in that more square-like pattern. And it felt like there was an interaction between the two, and it also felt like there was a togetherness, a unifying kind of energy between the sun and that other blue sun, I thought it was. And then of course afterwards, when I was stumbling home, it was like, oh, of course, that was 3i Atlas. So now it's for real in my personal individual reality. So now it gets another kind of meaning. And yes, of course, with the solar flares and things like that, the energy, I did feel the energy of it earlier, like weeks ago, but it was more like, oh, this is a good thing, sort of, you know, not really in judging it, but more like in, yes, come in, you know, just allow it. There's nothing to be afraid of at all. That was sort of what I got from it.
Thank you, Flix. I
I
think
was
we've
making
come...
some codes for you when you were talking.
Oh, lovely. I wondered what you were writing.
Thank you. Oh, and yeah.
Or maybe it goes this way because of the pyramid thing, because you said pyramid and that gave me the activation to write when you said
no,
pyramid.
it was right side up first time.
Oh,
Yeah.
the other way. Okay.
Yeah. Right to left. Yeah. Perfect.
Let me see
Yeah.
if I can
Thank
change
you.
Will you say something, Christy? Because it's on speaker view.
Oh, okay. No, when Flix had said pyramid, then that's when I started writing, because that gave me like an activation with it. So that's what
And
I was writing
would you
when you're
just
talking.
hold those up again, Christy?
Yeah. Can you see it okay?
Yes, yeah. It reminds me of some of the hieroglyphics in Egypt. It's got a very Egyptian. I think it's upside down. It's got a very
Yeah.
yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. It's
Because of the pyramid.
yeah. And also I'm seeing water. In that second at the bottom, second image at the bottom, second hieroglyphic at the bottom. And also the sun. Yeah, I can. It's funny because I whenever I look at UFO circles, I tend to read what they mean, and I'm reading some of what is in your message. I see a lot of the sun and water.
Yeah.
And you've
That's
drawn
cool,
a
huh?
circle on the pyramid. That looks like an entrance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that feels like that, like the entrance and then the meeting of the two, as she was talking about the 3i Atlas meeting with the sun, you know, and then they're exchanging codes together.
Yeah. So tell me, what have you been doing since the conference in July?
Did you go, Flix? Did Flix go too, or just
No.
no? Okay. Well, when I got back, then I started finishing my books. It seems like I got lots of like encouragement, or like a determined energy to write all my books. And it's more my art books that I've finished, you know, like 16 of them. I have 16 art books, and then I've written my experiences too, my Montauk, my lab, and SSP, in 3 different books. I wrote it all that. So I've been just writing away, you know, and I didn't do that before. It seems like it just kind of activated in May. And then I first made a kids book to help little kids establish energetic boundaries, you know, for sensitive kids. So I made that first, and then that just inspired me to keep going, you know, with it, how easy it was to make a book, and then how I could help people in that way too, is through getting my messages and stuff that I know about all the things that I've gone through, to express it in a book for people and not just keep it to myself, you know, because I had all my artwork and been storing it and stuff and just didn't know how to put it out there, you know. So this is how I wanted to do that, is to put it in books. So yeah, that's really what I've been doing. And doing more of my readings and stuff and everything too. So yeah, just been busy with all of that and exercising. I go into exercising every day so that I can, it kind of helps me release all the energy, you know, and also then come back in tune with myself and clear my energy out and all that, and then I come back and then I feel better too. So you know how that is with exercising or
No.
doing however something. You said no. Well, you should find something, because it will help you to get rid of the things, you know, that like you just shake it off. It helps you shake out all, if you're whatever mood or however. So yeah, it helps me anyways with that. Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
quite literal also. I was in an interview with Julia, and I was talking about light language and things. And then I spontaneously gave this exercise, like if you just turn your wrists for movement, then, and if you focus on your heart simultaneously, that you can start to speak light language like automatically, because it's that flowing movement is the feminine kind of energy, just like washing your hands under running water. It's that flowing movement is what is so powerful, because it has that circular 0 point within it.
Mm-hmm.
Flix, would you like to do a light language this evening? Maybe in a little bit.
Anytime, no problem.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
So maybe we could do that towards the end. So is that okay, Flix?
Yeah, I can do it anytime, or channel anytime. I'm in that constant state of peace and steadiness. I'm just stimming a bit because of the high energies now.
I know.
Wonderful.
So
So I've recently been seeing some info on Trump, and I've kind of pulled back a little bit because I felt that, and I would be a very strong supporter of Trump and have had quite a few experiences with him on the astral back in 2019 and 2020, where I was being shown information about him and meeting him on the astral, as well as Putin. And that didn't happen very often, but it was always very profound when it happened. So I'm an avid Trump supporter. However, what I've been seeing lately has made me want to pull back from his energy, because what we're seeing in Ireland over the internet and different social medias is that he has, and it's being reported that Trump has stopped or is stopping the food vouchers, or SNAP, I think they're called, in America, which I find very surprising, because that's not the Trump that I know, but that is what's being reported. I've since been talking to a friend who has said that that's not true, and it's not on his instructions. So maybe, so Christy, you're in America.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm in
Yeah.
Ireland, and Flix is in the Netherlands. But
Mhm.
will you talk about to that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
explain what
So
is going on. And also, my other question about America and Trump is, I know that the government is on lockdown or is closed, like what does that look like on a daily basis?
So they did open up the government. I think it was yesterday they opened it back up. So he signed a thing saying everything's back open today, and like he saved the day, whatever, like that. So he kind of goes on about other stuff that really is about. I kind of feel like it's about other countries and stuff like that, but it feels like he's not really caring for his own country in a way. That's what I kind of felt like. Because doing away with the food stamps, that that was really right in November too, so that's when that's people's like mothers, really, mostly. I was thinking about myself, and I have a disabled son, so I have the food stamps, and that being taken all away, and even though I just get like $300, that's a lot to me, so I think about the mothers who have a lot of kids to feed, and now where will they get the money? They have to go and get the Christmas funds, or pull them from other places, or go to a food bank, when kids don't like all that food, so that's kind of picky eaters and stuff like that. Like my son is a special needs, so he doesn't just eat any food. He has his own food, and it's not cheap, so they did give partial funding back to the food stamp, to the SNAP, and now they're going to start funding it all the way back. But why did they even do that? There was no reason to even do that at all, to take away people's food. Really, basically, that's a bunch of people having to go to the food banks, people don't really do that. We're not used to doing that kind of thing, that's not something on the routine of things, you work or whatever, or they, so that's just very I couldn't understand that at all, why they would even take away the SNAP benefits, from people. So yeah, it's coming back, but they said it could be up to like a month or so before people get the whole amount, and people have a negative perspective on it, but they don't understand from a mother's perspective, having a special needs child, how important that extra funding is, because he requires so much different foods, so yeah, I spend all of that plus my own money, so yeah, it's not a good thing that they did that at all for families, right at Thanksgiving too, when it's time for people to have their families over to feed everybody and all that, then so I did not care for that at all. So yeah, and then so the government is back open. So what did that look like? And it didn't, I mean, they created chaos in the airports and places like that, created kind of frustration and anger with people because they're having to be inconvenienced, and without money, they're taking away people's money. So basically, for their own, what are they even doing? What did they even do for this shutdown for the 38 days, or how many ever days it was? The what did they accomplish with that? I didn't see any changes. It's just their own, just they're fighting amongst each other, and I think that they're all kind of on the same side basically, because um they fight, and I think it's all a show, really. Yeah, I agree with the 2019 Trump was it was a little bit different. I liked him then, and I thought that he was going to be exposing the negative stuff, but that did never happen. That never happened. It just got stirred up. People talk about it and stuff like that, with all these um Epstein stuff, and you know that never got released. And will it ever? Probably not. They just like to stir stuff up and blame other people, and blame, but they're all in it. That's what I feel. Yeah.
As you're
Yeah.
talking, I've a couple of questions. So, do you think Trump is different now? Do you think he's a clone? Because some of the stuff that he's doing has made me question, has made me want to pull back from his energy and kind of look at him in a new without rose tinted glasses in a
Mhm.
light.
Yeah, he looks like he's had a stroke with some of the pictures. His mouth is sagging here. So it looked like maybe he had some kind of a stroke or some dysfunction. Um, they're not happy like they were. Even his wife, she looks miserable, so that's what I see. And I don't watch him. I don't care anything what they do now, because it's kind of too much
You gone off them,
things.
and have you gone off them? And do you think they're clone? Trump is a clone?
I know he has to have clones of him, of course, definitely so. Um, he doesn't look the same as he used to, like before. He didn't have the same color and brightness and positive kind of energy, as he did before. So, yeah, I don't care for that anymore. I stopped watching or caring
Yeah,
anything about them altogether, So,
yeah.
yeah, he might be different in other realities because I have seen him and Putin on ships, on mother ships too, back in 2019, like you were seeing probably the same time. Maybe they were having those meetings
It was around, yeah,
together. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and I seen him then, and I liked Putin then as well. Um, and so, and he was on that ship. He was kind of meeting everybody, like it's like a bunch of kiosk places. Like people were all in little kiosks, something like that, like a holographic. Maybe he was like appearing in holographic form too in some ways. So something with that as well. But it was different. He was different then. He was more um hero or positive, something like that role. But maybe that was his other aspect that we see, you know. But it's definitely darker now, his energy is darker. Yeah, he kind of blends in with his coworkers. And all that Charlie Kirk stuff is beyond annoying. It's just another show. So I just don't watch any of that. I don't even care to even enter. I just see it and I think, oh my gosh, people, you know, they fall for these things. They, like it's a cycle, So
before we move over to flicks, I just wanted to add that that was something else that they channeled recently about Charlie Kirk, and they said that, and the Pleiadians, I mean, and Ashtar, and that's also up on YouTube and Rumble and Substack. But they were saying that, which I found very surprising, but they were saying that Charlie Kirk is still alive, and it was an operation of the White Hats taking him out because they had found found out that the Black Hats were going to take him out in the same kind of situation in a assassination. So the White Hats got there first and took him out in a fake assassination, and he's still alive somewhere. I don't even know if he's still on Earth at this point, but that's what they said. So and that's available to still watch. So I don't know. I think there's other people that have said that as well. I think is it Nori Love or Nova? No, Nova. Uh,
Lily Nova.
yes, thank you. Yes.
hmm yeah. No, um like before, how I never even knew he even had a wife. I didn't know anything about, but now all of a sudden she's like in the spotlight with things, hugging on all these men and stuff. And it just, I think she's maybe she was the beauty pageant person, I found out just seeing all the past. So something shifted with her being, maybe she's a honeypot or something in the program. That's what I feel with her. Maybe she's like a Marilyn Monroe, kind of passing along messages through her sexual energy or something in that way. So I don't feel any positive from her at all. And I think she's 100% acting. I don't feel, um, you know, I just don't care for her energy at all. And how she hugs up on men and stuff like that is not I wouldn't like that. I seen Jason Aldean, she hugged him on some award thing, and his wife was like, okay, you know, like, you can let go of my husband, you know. So you know, there's just, I think that she's probably like a honeypots or something like that, like giving messages through her sexual energy.
Yeah, I think so too, Christy.
Yeah.
So let's flicks.
Thank you. I hope you're open to it. I have a
We're
little
open
bit
to everything.
of an other, well, it's not as much an other perspective. I actually agree and have experienced similar things and have thought about these things as well. But what I tend to do is always take it back inside and neutralize. And that means that there is always a multi-dimensional way of looking at things. And what we often tend to do on the human level, where I felt you deeply, Christy, with the whole issues and the mothers that really are struggling, and I mean, I'm no exception to it. I went to the food bank today. It's the same everywhere, in a lot of countries. Luckily, I don't have a child in that sense to take care of.
Let's just pause there. Okay, welcome back, guys. So we took some kind of a break there. So who would like to pick up?
Yeah, Flixwell.
Yeah, I was gonna speak about it, and I have a bit of a different view on all those things, and I do value your inputs. I've had that astral visitation from Trump as well in the beginning, like in the COVID era, that was, and I didn't know quite where to put him, and I just let it be an experience and didn't judge it. It just is. But and regarding the food bank, what I said earlier, that is very painful, and I feel my compassion is really, you know, heightened, and I'm really feeling it, because it is extremely difficult, especially for the mothers of this world, because the mothers are the ones carrying the most part of all the responsibilities, especially with the children, and that is the most precious.
Next, did you see recently there was a lady, a woman in America put out, she was calling the churches to see if she could get some milk powder or formula for her baby. Did you see that?
No.
Okay. Christy, did you see it? No.
No,
okay.
No, Dave, I didn't see that.
Okay, and never mind then.
Okay, but so if you have all these things going on in a country, then what you can do is take a more helicopter view about, okay, if I look at it as energies and I release any more personal investment or attachment to the subject, and that's very hard to do if you yourself are in it, like the example with the food bank. I'm in that situation where things are like really weird and hard, but I can still rise above it in my meditation. And then what you need to do is remember, we are now collectively going into that fourth dimension. So from a materialistic 3D, we are going into the black and white, good or bad, red or blue politics, you know, on all levels. And the systems of the old are dissolving and the new ones need to be built still. But we need to go through those extremes. And that is what we are experiencing now, personally, but also collectively. So it's not about the violence. It's not about getting us triggered or it's dark forces on the outside. you could say, let's look at it multidimensionally, because multidimensionally, everything has like 12 sides of a bigger diamond of the truth, the bigger truth with a capital T. So that one perspective, it's like NPCs or interfering energies, is just only one small window of that bigger perspective. Hello, Karen. And so the other perspectives are also that we have to go through the fourth dimensional extremes until we are flung back to the other opposite. So some of those things are agendas politically or economically or on all sorts of weird levels that we didn't expect them, but they are there to bring us together into unity, into the 0 point of the collective of humanity. But that means we have to learn how to become individually centered in that 0 point of truth in ourselves. And we as the starseeds and light workers have to be able to do that, to be that example in energy. It's not about the mentality. That is what we are rising above. We are coming from the higher heart, and the higher heart shows us what is really real about all those situations. And yes, the pain and the hunger and the effort and the creative looking for solutions is very, very real on the 3D level and on that perspective. But it's also creative, and creativity is the divine feminine energy. And that is why we are gathered here also, because that is what brings ourselves into that space where we can rise above it, like our own little spaceship, Merkaba, that can be in that 0 point and be a gravitational force. And that light that we shine really helps other people to rise above it too, even though they are unaware of their activated higher heart now. But they will be more wanting to help others, the sharing of goods, the sharing of everything. And that is one of the things that will happen. So yes, in the now moment, there's more pain. And I have another idea about all of this, and that is the same as what I said about Three-Eye Atlas. The collective soul of humanity is drawing in those new manifestations or the old energies that we need for our evolution. Like the discoveries on Earth, archaeologically, you know what I mean, or with the comet. But it's also that, oh, now I lost my train of thought. We're drawing it in about the food bank. Oh yeah, and time is a spiral, and we are looping back into times of old to one more time go through it. So we go through the same sort of trauma that our ancestors went through, like hunger, like that pain, because we can now, for the last time, clear it in ourselves, neutralize, 0 point it in ourselves, and our DNA gets reactivated on a higher level to go into the 5D with that. So individually, we need to go through what our ancestors went through, and collectively, we have to go through that. And that's a really hard pill to swallow, but we are here to clear that karma. That's sort of why we came in as the starseeds, because that's the only way we can evolve and rise above it, and that will create that new energy. We are drawing it in because we are able to do that. Sorry, it was a long story, but
No,
yeah.
you, Flix, for leading us up to that. I would like to add something before we introduce Karen and MacDonald. And I'm delighted. Thank you so much for coming, Karen. But I just wanted to add to what Flix was saying, because I think that is it's huge, and all those little aspects make up the whole of why we are here, to do with ascension and the consciousness evolution that's on the planet now, which is being led by, on some level, on some higher level, which is being led by starseeds or the likes of us that showed up on Earth at this time, in this lifetime, to raise the consciousness of humanity, to step up into a higher frequency, a higher energy, a higher awareness, which is, there's many aspects to it. There's all the prophecies, there's the DNA, the like everything that exists on Earth is a part of now, and the consciousness evolution, even down to the food, and the food being poisoned, and the chemtrails, and all of it. It's all part of it, because anything such as the chemtrails and the food that's being poisoned, and Karen would know a lot more about the food and all the poisons and everything. That is all that is by design, by the negative agendas, to try their very best to keep our consciousness at a lower level, in order for them to, and I say them, I mean the reptilians that are running the show at the highest level. And I don't these days, there's not much of a difference for me in the words satanic or reptilian. It's the same thing. The elites that are running the churches, the governments, the pharmaceutical companies, all of that stuff on every system at the highest level is run, in my understanding, in my solid core belief, is run by reptilian energies. And we're here now to help awaken humanity. So I just wanted to add that, because and there's many different aspects that I couldn't possibly include right now, because I was only adding to what Flix was saying, and I really wanted to allow Karen and MacDonald to introduce herself. And we were talking about Trump and Three Eye Atlas. So over to you, Karen, please.
I feel like jumping into the pool again with all this. I just got off, you don't know how many calls already. But dealing with this, I just went from one to the other on this, and it seems to be obviously the top of the day. Anyway, very nice to meet you. I'm Kieran Ann Lusick MacDonald, so I'm actually the 13th clan mother as well for the planet. So I'm one of those few hereditary white girls, the Tartarian ones. I always say I'm a little tart, you know. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. My background is international medicine, international law. And for that, in that aspect, I started off as a nurse. So I was in charge of 1,200 nurses in the University of Saskatchewan at the Royal University. I specialized in basically neonatal, pediatric intensive care and stuff like that. So, and then I evolved into everything from energy medicine to, I'm quite well known for more the sound, for biophotonics, and going into herbs, plants, oils, but from a frequency point of view, and doing a lot with sexual abuse, ritual abuse, and recovery for post-traumatic stress or whatever we might be dealing with, or ancestral stress these days. So I'm also like a herbologist, iridologist. I've worked with live blood, like Dr. Robert Young, people like that. Big into women and womb recovery. So that will entail basically what we call yoni or vaginal or peri-steam hydrotherapy, and using herbology and different things, but through the root chakra. So I'm also a colon hydrotherapist. So we're just getting to the butt of everything, so to speak. But this is where I feel that we need to go. And from a clan mother ancestral point of view, just like in our, my basically relatives, which are the Ringing Cedars of Russia, the Anastasia series, this is what we're talking about. She's going, yes, I have that. And so
I have a connection there as well. But anyway, I'm sorry, go on.
No, just add in. It's all a flow. And so those are some of the things in there. And then of course, mine right now, I'm quite well known for what's called in the biofeedback industry. Some people call it RIFE, PEMF. There's a lot of words that are used inappropriately, always. But it's basically, I work with Ryan Williams and people like Dr. Debbie Ann Drake out of Toronto. And so we were the original pioneers, by the way. We're the ones that started off voice and sound and picture technology. So we actually can take your phone and turn it into like curling photography. And I deal with people that say Sabrina Wallace, Tony Pantalleresco, and when Sabrina in the synergy groups, we're talking about what you're saying. What is all this technology coming in? How is it being utilized against people? You know, we don't 5G is like seriously like last decade. We're talking 6, 7, 8G, which is all the quantum dots. Using this technology, it's under almost everyone's skin. When we do the live blood cell, it's in almost everyone's blood. Not everyone's, but in the large majority of the population. You know, so I'm dealing with a lot of stuff to do with the injections. People don't realize like PCRs are the same as the injections. And now we've got stuff that's self-replicating that we can't stop. It's just like a Terminator. It keeps morphing and morphing and morphing. And, you know, like I said, we just don't have ways to stop some of this stuff appropriately because it's gotten into the genetic code. And basically everything's been calcified in the third eyes and stuff. So it's not like we're dealing like getting rid of heavy metals anymore. This is quite a devastating thing that we're seeing in here. And I'm very close to these ostrich things. So a lot of people, you know, are screaming all over the world about the culling, but they fail to realize that these were the people that were slaughtering and injecting this kind of biological level 3 and 4 technology that got out of control and breached containment because it was never in a proper lab to start with. So it's gotten into our water system and stuff like that. And they were, you know, sending, if you can imagine, taking someone that's been freshly injected or whatever, and then going to sell their, you know, for organ harvesting and for transplants. And this is what they're doing in the local markets here. You don't give, you know, eggs for omelets here and their feces into our local stuff. So this has gotten way out of control. So part of mine is from the international law as well. You mentioned a lot to do with the Atlas and stuff like that. So we have so many things going on in the planet, like you're talking about the CMEs, cordial mass ejections coming, the Schulman wave. We've got the KP index off. It's been fluxing all over. We've been raining and raining and raining. So we're having all these anomalies because like where this psychological grifting operation is going on, it's full on microwave direct energy warfare here. Mm-hmm. And I'm also in an area that similar to what you guys have experienced, like Lahaina, Maui, Paradise. They took out several of our towns, and I'm actually right here where they did that. But my kitchen window looks at the Valhalla Mountains, which is like your Hopi Mine prophecy rock. So I'm sitting here at a very strategic sacred site at the Valhalla Mountains in the Slocan. So it's a very specialized area with a very unique, rare tribe called the Sinaic tribes. So
and do you work with them, Karen? Behind the scenes, do you? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they recognize the McClellan. They've been like, you know, brought in and to all their different things. I actually have been able to hold, most people don't realize that the original, there's only 6 worldwide treaties. So we would call it the, you know, Eye of Isis or Camel's Eye or the Eagle Bull or Peace Pipe Treaty. Up here is quite well known in North America as the Wampum Belts. But for all of us that have the Tartarian bloodlines, or as you think Russian or all the way through, as people think Europe and down to like, you know, Egypt, is we had all those white tribes versus white race. So when you talk about reptilian or hybridization, those are races that have been hybridized. We have the original genetics. So that's why we're called tribal. It's really to do with the genetic pool. So yes. I'm, for example, AB positive. So I'm off the oldest original cookie cutter, you know, Tyra Gaia made kind of bloodline from here. And so those are all traceable through the mitochondrial DNA. So absolutely. Mine would be called the Noah's Ark, you know, and they might have something called the Palladian of Troy or Solomon's Seal. So we had different, you know, words for that.
Yeah.
And so I'm connected to all that. So I'm a holder of those original treaties that's held as one of the matriarchs. And that's what we're trying to get people is to come back into the original laws and step into the original customs, usages and laws, you know, and then even when we're doing, you know, recovery or stuff like that, or ancestral trauma, things that have come through is that especially with women have lost their original customs usages and they've lost their mother's language. most people can't speak their mother's tongues from like 400 or 500 years ago or 3 generations ago, let alone, you know,
By
way back.
design.
Yeah,
By
you block
design. Yeah.
exactly. And
And
most,
that's also one, sorry, Karen, that's also one of the reasons that with all the sacred people, they got rid of their languages. They weren't allowed to, as children. I remember my mum wasn't allowed to speak Irish in the school.
yeah. Oh, I mean, absolutely. And look what they did. Like, you know, it was funny. I was talking to Professor Dolores Cahill, you know, and I mean, I have so much respect for Dolores because I mean, what she did in the Stats and how she was, you know, persecuted there. But I was in,
How is she doing now?
I haven't talked to her for, you know, ages, but, you know, part of it came in because she was working on the same, you know, biologicals that had to do with the, you know, obviously the ostriches and the SARS and the level 3-4 diseases. So
The
she was on,
Jabberwockies.
yeah, she was amazing. She, but it was really funny because she said something about that. And I said, oh, can we talk about Tara? I said, I'm a clan mother. I don't care about Tara and Royal Meath, right? And she goes, darling, we were there last night. It was a gathering of the clan women and we just love you. Like, she's so sweet. But anyway, no, a lot of people just don't realize that once you lose that language, that defines you and that throws you into a slave category, you know, this private public thing. That's why I get, you know, people are, oh, we got to go into PMEs and state nationals. I said, you don't even know what the hell the, you know, law is here. So our thing is to start bringing that part back so we can, and that ties into what I'm doing with medicine, right? What I'm doing with biofeedback is that we're using these biofeedbacks as basically unlimited millions of tunes and frequencies. You know, it's nice to have the tuning forks and the drums and everything, but they cannot get where I need to get a candida or a tapeworm. I don't have a tuning fork for that, but I do have them on our frequencies on the Genius biofeedback that I generate and I make.
Now that's something I'd like to delve into. So we've been friends since I think it was 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
But I saw your I think it was last year, I saw your interview with another woman and Kerry Cassidy. I was going to ask, what was the name of the other woman? Because I haven't, and where can people find that?
That's who I just got off the last Zoom with. We were on FaceTime. We were in a Zoom call with the Insight Health crew with Ryan Williams, who developed all this technology. So all this stuff that you see that came later, like Healy and Zelix and AO and those are all knockoffs of ours in the last 5 years. But the thing, we've been at it for 30. So we actually pioneered that with all the Russian scientists and the Apollo 12, 13 projects.
I'm
That's us.
sorry, what was her name?
She's called Dr. Deborah Ann with an E Drake, Drake. So she's out of Toronto. So I was laughing. I can't cover the western part. She covers, but I just got up with her because we're going to do some more collaboration. Kerry Cassidy has asked us to come back.
Great.
And so we did do a show. I've done several with Kerry. Mine was primarily with children and recovery, sexual abuse, ritual abuse, what was happening with the children, why they're doing it. They came after my children and myself 30 years ago. And so I knew all about the little tunnel systems and the trafficking. So I've been at this. We were, you know, Kathy O'Brien did her stuff, but it happened to all of us up here. And some of the biggest satanic panic things we went through here. So, and my ex was a lawyer involved with that. So I got to see some of the stuff from a different viewpoint, but I've been after them ever since. And the military came to me for assistance. They said, you're our clan mother and you got 2 swords and you better learn how to use them because we got to protect some land and children here.
That's very interesting. So
yeah.
I I would like to invite you for us to do an interview together on, or for me to ask questions to you regarding health and parasites and yeah. So would you like to do that? We can.
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay,
I love doing that. I think
Thank
that, you know, that's what we're here to do, is to get this information out and share, you know.
And the other thing, Karen, is, so is there anything that you haven't come across or that you don't believe? Or for me, it would be the flat earth theory, but because Christy Campbell here is this evening with us. So have you come across the SSP?
Oh yeah, I know people in it. I've been at this, I'm a basis conference speaker. If you go back with Miles Johnson and
Yes.
Fade to Black and like the Coast to Coast, you'll see them there. Leak Report, every report, everyone that had a project I was involved in many years ago. I've distanced myself from a lot of that, and I actually was part of Project Ascension, which was a year-long weekly, so 50 some videos with former Sergeant Patty Broussard. So we were probably one of the first ones doing a lot of the disclosure. However, having said that, I find a lot of it was disinfo. So I've met the gene decodes and I've met this and I've met that and, this earth and that earth. And, at one point, I just listened to the Free Energy Special Interest Group, right, with Crystal Go and the rest of her crew. And like David Srita's been on there and Carrie Cassidy was on there. And then Jean-Charles was on there. Sebastian was on there. Everyone was on there. And even Patty Broussard this week. But you know what? No one's got any proof. No one can prove anything to me. And I've seen them literally use disinformation. So I've actually watched stuff on original, we'll say live feed cameras versus what you guys see in the public that everyone's basing all their information on, which is incorrect. And I've seen it over and over and over again. So they are playing, I think, a lot with, even with the Atlas and the Lemon and all that. I deal a lot, and especially this year, I've done a lot with Dr. Richard Allen Miller. So with Doc Ram was just over at the Super Soldier Conference, right? With James Rank and all that. I've been involved with them for like 15 years in the background. I don't usually come up front with a lot of it because a lot of it is controversial. It's not provable. You get into, let's say, working with Sabrina Wallace, who goes absolutely ballistic when people start mentioning things like targeted individuals, MyLab, and things along that line. And in there, and she's right in what she's saying, is even the language of MK Ultra that died back in the 60s. And even in the universities, they bring people in, and the way this cybernetic transhumanistic agenda is, you need to speak the language because they're trained in it. They are the ones doing it. And whether they're, it's overt or covert, they're still involved. And the correct terminology is that these are cybernetic interface operating systems. So 6G is under everyone's skin. That really is what people would say. I think I'm being targeted. I think they're coming after me. No, you've got certain amount of stuff, whether it's a large amount of graphene, whether you call it implants, because it can morph into whatever it wants to. And every area is being played with. My area is being played with here. There's a no-fly zone 20 minutes away from the ostrich farm. There's other things, like it's not even the ostriches, it's what's below those ostriches. What base is here. I'm in the SSP, as everyone's heard about James Casbolt, Max Spears, James Rink. They all talk about the famous Q552 base. And that's just down my road. So as people think, in the lower part of British Columbia, right between, sort of Spokane, Washington and stuff here. So it's one of the most infamous bases because of what they do here for trafficking and illegal aliens and all sorts of portals and things that we have here. So in here, yeah, I'm quite well aware of what they've been doing, how they've been manipulating things, but I think the terminology has to get tightened up. And I realize when you start listening to people like Sean at Non-Vaxxer 420, or especially Sabrina Wallace's group, it's a new language. It's a very difficult thing to comprehend. But if you get the basics, and I always tell people, go down that rabbit hole, go study that for a couple of things and see what these synergists do. We've got the white papers and all the patents that they're using. So part of it, what we want to do is come back to the basics, because it's pretty hard to fight technology. That's where my biofeedback comes in. It's like a scrambler a little bit, which is great. If they're going to come in and start putting these things through, what you guys call chemtrails, but geoengineering, and they're dumping ceration, they're dumping trisomy, and they're dumping cesium on top of the aluminum, beryllium and whatever else, lead on our heads, is that you're assimilating that. It's affecting the earth, the water, how we even garden right now. I've had to totally change things. If people have been injected, I can't use the same stuff here. Most of the people are using terahertz kind of like wands and things like that. You're putting people into turbo cancer. They put in the same thing into the injections. They put into all their new little fast food supplements again. So EDTA, methylene blue, people that are vaping, all those things are heavily laced. Your ivermectins, we have those under the microscopes. I can show you where they're chipped. And people are buying into these sort of things again. I need to use this, I need to use that because it's another fad. but they don't realize there's going to be a repercussion to it down the road. So instead of ivermectin, I'll take you to wormwood or to, the old SEAC formula or whatever you want to call it. Basics things, the whole cart formers, like how to do zapping. I think in working with the tribes, and you have a really great point. When I've worked on there, and I'm not Native, I'm not Indian, okay? Not
Well,
Aboriginal.
I would disagree, although you may not have
Those
that
are, yeah,
physically,
those,
I think you have it energetically.
but in here, what I'm saying, those words are legal words that mean that you subjugated or went to contract as an ally or a partner with the crown. Mostly you were subjugated as an inhabitant, which is why they don't realize that these words, if people define themselves as Métis or whatever, you define them with the Crown Corporation, and you basically legalese are a prisoner of war. So I'm very careful in the language, even though I know what most people's intent may be. But legalese versus law, I have to be very, very careful, right? And in here, you've got a great point. But when I have gone out to work with the local tribes, and there's a difference between tribal blood and clan blood, people don't even realize that. So all these people that think they're sovereign clan mothers, they're not. And they're lucky if they're tribal at this point. Well, that's a great question, right? Is that if you have got, like, as we talked about genes and ancestral and, our star patterns and these divine blueprints and stuff that we've been all gifted, once you start corrupting that, especially the women, we have something very special called the mitochondrial DNA. So like we're the original Eves, so to speak, and you have that original bloodline. So what I have, my sister's younger than myself, and I'm the eldest of them, right? The oldest of them. And we have different blood. So we come from the oldest female to the oldest female to the oldest female to the oldest female. So we're like an unbroken line of like 20 some generations, which is a lot. And so once you get that, there's a special, it's almost like a computer code. We have the original, I speak Windows 1 to whatever now, rather than people jumping at Windows 7. So we have some of that original ancestral stuff we can tap into. And when you corrupt that, through injections, through pharmaceuticals or over-the-counter stuff, or whatever you've done, or been sleeping with people that have been injected, you actually mutate that. And from that, once you have a mutation, these are not things that you have a blueprint on to go and to start doing tissue, stem cell, organ regeneration. So as people like to think of med beds or frequency, if we don't have an original pattern or recipe to go off of, you can't replicate that. And so a lot.
Can I just ask you a question, Karen?
Mhm.
I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not vaccinated at all.
Yeah.
But 2 or 3 years ago, I was living in rural Cork in Ireland, and I was working in a vegetarian cafe in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mixing with different people, and the woman I was staying with was very spiritual, and she was also from America. And I was working as a volunteer in her vegetarian cafe as a cook and doing lots of jobs, and too many jobs. But anyway, though I had my period, and in the morning, but I was in the shower before I was having my period. I just came on, but it wasn't just a period. I'd never experienced anything like it before. I was gushing blood. I've never have I ever experienced anything like that. I was in the shower, thank God.
It's horrendous. I've had it. I know what you're talking about.
And it was pouring. Literally, I was pouring. What was that? I'm not vaccinated.
No, I know, but you know what? You know what they always said, you got people that smoke, and what's worse than smoking? Secondhand smoke. So now what's being transmitted or emitted from these people. And so what I kind of say is, like, if this is what you got injected with or up the nose or in the butt or however you did or slept with someone, you got this stuff. Okay, it glows, it morphs, it's transmittable, it's imaging, it's what's hooked to up to the internet. So literally when you put this inside you, it's a wireless mouse to the internet of things, or internet of bodies, or in this case, ostriches, dogs, cats, whatever we call it, internet of bodies. So once it's inside you, it's kind of like it's sitting under here and it's still transmitting, so you feel these waves coming through. It's like an infrared, right? And so what happens when we get near these people, we call it contact vaccinosis. You guys call it shedding, or you've been spiked, right? Yeah. You call it contagious. And, I'm not going to argue whether there's a virus isn't a virus or whatever. Virus means poison. we're getting poisoned, and it's basically a form of acute radiation illness. So like you, we call it, it's like casting a spell. I hate the words medically when I have to speak like as a nurse, but in here, what is called deciduous casting. And so basically the whole lining sloughs because we go into such acute shock. You're going into anaphylactic radiation shock that our systems don't know what to do. And so I've got 3-year-olds this is happening to. So what happened to you? Can you imagine that happened to a 3 or 4-year-old little girl or a grandmother in her 70s and 80s? Okay, this is what's happening. And so the women that are really being affected, James Thorpe is amazing, Kristen Northrup and some other people, Dr. Sherry Tenpe, they all talk about this, but you and I know what that's like. If you get touched, I've looked after many, many, many people, and I've literally had to move in with probably about 5 or 6 people over the years. Okay, now I'm in-house doing like nursing because they would be dead. Once they get sometimes a contact, you don't know what it's going to turn into. Is it going to be stage 3, 4 cancer? Is it going to be a diabetic neuropathy? Are you going to have dementia, brain fog? What is showing up? Skin rashes? We don't know. So any disease, it could show up. Vaccine-induced AIDS. So when you and I experience that, what people call getting spiked on or shed on, is that our system doesn't know what to do. So we usually get kind of nauseated. We get like a heat flush. You can almost feel like a heat rash when you're around these people, and headachy, and you just feel like it's like your whole aura and biofield. Like people don't realize when I'm talking that your immune system, everyone wants to draw blood and crap like that. That's why I'm not gonna, I'm disputing what's in the live blood. It's so limited. And what they're seeing on the, these limitations to give you like nano zeolite, nano silvers, masterpiece, this, what happens is that it doesn't go into the blood, it moves out. So they won't see it in the blood, and it cloaks or goes dormant, or it shifts from the blood system into another organ system, or it can go dormant like these implants. I remember when I used to go scan for implants, never tell anyone because it will pick it up. This stuff is sentient. And that's the one thing. So when we bleed, we are trying to clear the poisons out as quick as we can because we're dumping everything that thing is morphing. So you don't know what set of diseases. And when you're working with level 3 and 4, like Marburg and Zika and Ebola and, SARS or COVID-2, whatever, all those things you're taking on. So it's actually a very great thing that happened to you. You know why? We're the canaries in the coal mine, because you know what? It's the women that their systems don't work. I don't feel anything. I don't know what you're talking about because your system's not recognizing it. And that's part of the problem that they've done with these like ostriches, because it's just my pet peeve these days. But anyway, they're trying to say we need this for antibodies, and that we also need to, have herd immunity. Well, that's not herd immunity. What you're doing is it's like a homeopathic. So when it's watered down, you have a little bit of that.
I just have to intervene there, Karen. Sorry, because Christy has to leave soon. So I just wanted to allow her to share where people can find her.
Okay. I'm on YouTube under Christy Campbell CC33, and you can find me on Facebook, and my email is christy.campbell.11@gmail.com if anyone would like to get a hold of me.
Yeah, and because you do readings and you do these amazing books.
Yes.
Yeah. Are they on Amazon?
The books are all on Amazon. Yes, under Christy Campbell.
Okay. And what's your website, Christy?
I don't have a website. Yeah.
But your Facebook?
The Facebook is under Christy Campbell, and I have TikTok and Instagram, so I'm on all the social medias.
Okay, great. And if people want to get a reading from you, where should they go?
Go to my email. If you'll email me and then set up a session that way, then we can communicate. It would be a good time to do that. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Christy. And I hope you can join us next month, Christy.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Good to see you.
So, Karen, where were we? So, okay, so
You were bleeding and I was bleeding, and we're sick of being bleeding, and we're just saying, like, you know what, this has got to stop, because you know what, our systems are working, and you have no idea what it's like when I get someone's immune system back, and all of a sudden these women are now like bleeding around their children that got injected or whatever, or going to the supermarket. So this is a deadly thing that is being passed, and people, like I said, it can be dormant and asymptomatic. and you don't know what you're going to show up with, shingles or herpes or anything off this just by being in contact with these people. So it's a very real thing. And back to your other question too, like, is the earth round or flat, or where's this stuff all coming at? It can be both, by the way. It depends on the plane you're in. It depends on the frequency. When I see it from actual, I'll tell you, when I've seen it from actual military satellites, it's spherical. Everything in the solar system that's connected or tethered in here has got actually a vertical axis, and it has a tethering, and it's spherical. But you can have different planes or cuts within that dimension, just like you've got inner earth, or we talk about Tartarian mud flood cities. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So yes, we got stuff. We don't even know the limits. Remember what they've given us. This is your little map. Well, that's not the map. There's ice wells. There's other areas all over the place, above and below. So it's all the above. That's why I don't get into, arguing, because it can be, and it can also be where you're at that point. Not everyone is sitting here on the same realm with the same vision that we have. I see energies, I feel energies, I'm an empath. I like to have my technology, because I can take a picture of you right now and show you what's in your biofield. And more importantly, through sound wave, because we're using it as an ultrasound, basically. So it's precision ultrasound. So I'm not doing wearables, and I'm not doing weird stuff that everyone freaks out. I'm not dealing with AI and Grok and any of that stuff. I work my stuff off the grid. I have co-developed this technology so we can all make stuff. Everyone that's got it, type of thing. And it's a little different than Rife. We don't hook up people. I would never think to hook up people to like terahertz and things like that, and magnetics, when you've got so much graphene in people. You can send them right into turbo cancer, like all those terahertz and wands and foot stuff. I get shocked on them. Or I've put a patch on and gone into, had a heart attack basically 6 hours later. So a lot of these things they're putting out are not for everyone, and certainly not for blood types or certain genetics. We will react to it. Then I think what you're saying, to me, is that we've got issues in there, but we still need to clear it, and I feel for you. I had someone come up blindside me a couple times, and a lot of people through dental appointments, they don't know to take, magnetics and put your vial inside of it, so that when you put your dental vial in here, that you're clean the dental phrasing as you can, because people are just getting loaded with this stuff. And it's terrible when you get someone that can't get out of bed, they can't focus, they're getting misdiagnosed, and a lot of mental illnesses that it's not theirs. It's this technology, like you said, all this genetically modified poisonings getting into people, creating a explosion of cells, irregular cells, which they want to just give a diagnosis to everything they see under their microscopes and give you their satanic little compendium to give you a drug for it. I mean,
May I ask a question? Because I find this very important. Also, based on my own experience, I had that decidual cast. I had excruciating pain in my ovaries, where cysts were forming. But I could clear that with NAC, so glutathione. I felt it energetically like an allergic reaction similar. So I also felt there was a clearing naturally because of it. But because I'm also clairvoyant, so that's my question, because I felt and saw that with each encounter of someone who was transmitting this radiation, sort of, if you call it that, I think there are many levels to it, but there were also beings in the astral attached to it, very aggressive and dark. And it took a lot of effort, and I'm used to clearing and staying clean and everything. But it took a lot of effort to get those sticky bastards out.
Very much so. That's like, and that could be very similar to when we're saying, parasitical. But I mean, if I'm saying it's tryptosonia, it's a candida, it's a whatever, there's still a form of parasitical. So whatever dimension they want to be, interdimensional, multidimensional, that type of thing, there's an attachment. Even there's a frequency. This is what's worse, is it when they do this to us, by these patentable bioweaponized, whatever, you got a bioweaponized version of a bacteria, fungus, a candida, a prion, or whatever, in all of these forms. And what happens is that comes with its own frequency and sentience as well. So that's part of the thing that we also have to clear as well. And that's why I find doing biofield assessment is so important, because I can actually assess it. Or right now, Ryan, we knew that stuff was coming down. We went to telemedicine. We put this stuff on phones, iTabs, and tablets. Boom, we can like just Star Trek, do that, take your picture, take a look at it, and see where the leakage is. So it's not like I'm just doing these swirling northern lights kind of curling. We're actually going in and doing biofield, almost like that little Russian Cupid doll, right? You're taking each layer off because the stuff is embedded. And just like if we're doing tuning forks, you start doing clearing, you start out here, right? Because we're working from what happened, what are you carrying all along till we consolidate it into this lifetime here. So it's all out, the cellular memory and stuff like that.
What happened there?
Got to the powers that be. No, we're they're literally. Yeah, I know. I had a surge. All the power went for a second. We're having a rainstorm here. Yeah, we're on a rainstorm too.
Yeah, but
Plus,
but morphologically, because I love it that you look at all those levels, and I love looking at it from the consciousness and the multidimensional perspectives.
That's where we got to start.
It's morphological, and our bodies are also morphologic.
Exactly. That's what most people don't see. That's what I love you. See, most people don't get that. That's a critical part of it, dealing with it, right? And part of the issue is that a lot of people say, well, I just have the armor of, I put the creator around me. I'm in a bubble. I've got this. I've done I'm sorry, it's not going to touch this stuff. When you're talking about such high weaponized stuff that's on and off this planet, if they built this planet, they know how to like unbuild it and do it. So we're dealing with this kind of stuff that is literally like thousands of years ahead of the technology that people see in the public hospitals that I got trained in. So I can speak allopathic, I can speak naturopathic, but then we went into what's called the international schools. We have a couple of medical schools of international quantum integrative medicine. And so that's where we needed to be able to focus, because if you don't bring in the very critical aspects that you just talked about, you're going to miss that. There's a lot to be said when we're teaching breath work, or I work primarily with water, and not just here. For example, when they burnt up everything and they chemtrailed everything and they did, retardants and they clear cut and I was like literally a towering inferno was in my front yard. It's just all pure. There's like that fire there. My whole entire mountain on all sides of us were on fire.
There's so much we could talk about here. And I would absolutely love you to do a one-to-one interview.
Lovely.
Several questions for you. And it wouldn't be fair to the other people if all my focus is on you. But you've just spoken about water. Let me introduce Amy Starseed, who's just joined us. Because she was talking about water to me recently. So Amy, please bring to the table some of your information regarding water recently. I've had my own experiences with water recently, which is why me and Amy ended up talking about it. And Amy, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Roy. Can you hear me okay?
We
Okay,
can.
perfect. Just checking. Yeah, so my name is Amy Starseed.
Amy, also to add,
Yes.
we actually started at 7 and it's 8:40 now. So we are, yeah.
At the tail end. Yeah, sorry, I caught the time wrong. I'm really bad with time right now.
Just delighted you're here.
So I caught it. I was like, wait, I should just, anyway, I'm here. So, yes, so I'll try to be brief. My name is Amy Starseed. I like to refer myself as a frequency muse, which is a form of channeling, and I work with the flow states of art, singing, sound healing, and things, and then also just kind of turning my frequency wherever it needs to go to have any downloads or information. And I use a lot of my creative gifts to express it that way. So that's a brief introduction. So referring with water, we were, because you mentioned that there was a flood, and I think that I know that with water, there is a lot of codes. I'm sure, very similar to what we're talking about. There are a lot of codes in the water. This is something that I not discovered, but like over the last few years, there was at least 1 year that I became very connected with water. I've always been connected with water, but I'm just talking about something very specifically where I was doing these water meditations, and I learned that obviously we're like 70% or 80%, whatever that percentage is, it keeps changing, of water. And when I was working with water through the codes, I was like literally in a bathtub working with sound frequencies. And these sound frequencies were able to, pass through or connect to the water, activating the water codes in the water as well as the codes within me. And so the barrier that we normally have our physical selves or supposedly physical self with the frequencies, for example, just dissolved when I was in water through the sound frequencies. And
bearing in mind we're 70 to 90% or thereabouts water.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So we're basically water. We're water and frequency. And that's what I was kind of bringing up before. And the frequency is what puts us together, like a magnet, kind of pulling us in. And the water itself has these codes. So to keep it simple, these codes get activated, and it activates the parts of us that's within us, like the dormant DNA. And that's part of the activation through the water, and that it is this remembrance of these ancient codes that are just like a computer are stored within our bodies, and the water has these codes too. And it's interesting with the Three Eye Atlas happening right now is I don't know, I'm trying not to get too deep into all that, but it's doing a lot of activations.
Well, actually, Amy, that was one of the questions for everyone this evening, was about Three Eye Atlas and also Trump, but we probably won't have time to go into that. I just want to add very quickly that I channel the Pleiadians, and I've been doing it since I was a long time, since I was a child. I also predominantly channel Ashtar. And what I got recently was very surprising, because I'm always on the fence with everything. Unless I experience something, I don't believe it either way. I'm just on the fence. I don't know anything about it. But I recently did a channeling on Three Eye Atlas, which is on YouTube. It's on Rumble. It's on Substack. Hopefully it's still on YouTube. But they came through and they did a channeling, and I was shown information on Three Eye Atlas. Just that, very basically, very quickly, because I don't want to hog the time, but it was it's a ship that is going to be coming in close to Earth, or has already, and there's an energetic frequency that's coming in. But I was able to see on the ship, and I saw a lot of light, and I saw several different species or races, alien races, all together. And there was different rooms where they were going into. And I was very much on the fence whether it was a comet or a psyop or disinformation from NASA, or very much on the fence until I got the download. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like, from my own feeling about the Three Eye Atlas, I don't want to get too much into that, but it's both alien, or I'm just going to say it really simply, extraterrestrial and natural form. But the comment itself is this ancient being or cosmic being, and it's coming in alignment, perfect timing. So I feel like so it's coming in and it's creating a lot of the earthly. I think a lot of us know what some of these are. With the Schumann resonance and the solar flares and all these things that are happening, which is also affecting the codes in the water. So that's why I asked you the other day. I said, what were you like tuning into the water, because it came to you, and so, like, for myself, I've been intentionally taking baths at usually at night, because that's when I'm more open, and just to see what codes come through, and I think with water, it's like there's the codes in the water, which is the ancient codes, which is interesting enough with the Three-Eye Atlas coming in, being such an ancient, we don't even know what it is, how ancient it is. Like, that's a whole other topic. But it's activating what's already ancient within this earth, even older than we could possibly imagine. And really, the keys of these codes are going to be in the water. And that's what, and then who knows what's gonna happen from. I mean, this is just sort of the beginning of that. I know there's going to be a lot of like earthly changes that are already happening. Volcano activity, earthquakes, sort of these geo kind of reactions to what's happening with the Three-Eye Atlas and other things. I'm not going to get into that too, but it's something to be aware of. And I think that if anybody's really drawn to water right now, I think this seems to be the topic. This is a really good opportunity to connect, and I would highly recommend connecting with the water and how it resonates. I had my own way. I don't know if you want me to share that, but it really is potent. And what's that?
Please do.
Okay, so what I did is I use an underwater speaker, and I put it in my bathtub, and everybody has a bathtub, but I'm sure there's a way of getting to one. And then I would pick a playlist with sound frequencies. I would intentionally pick the sound frequencies. And I just started with crystal bowl sound healing. Now I'm doing something a little different. I'm actually using my own voice, which is kind of interesting. I'm using my own voice to use the free. So I actually I don't even use the underwater speaker anymore, but I go underneath the water and with my own voice, I make sound frequencies when I just kind of go into that channeling state, and the vibration through my own voice is the frequency. So that's another way of doing it. It's just using your own voice under the water, which is it creates frequencies, and it does this whole activation. Or you can get an underwater speaker and use different, I would just say crystal bowl kind of playlist, or some kind of playlist that has, healing frequencies that, and that's what happened to me. I did this for an entire year on and off. And I was doing this steadily, and I started to have gifts, innate gifts that woke up within me. That's when I was already speaking the light language, or universal language before, but then the singing and melodies and chanting started to come through after these deep water meditations that I was doing. So, and then I would really recommend to start a half hour. If you could do an hour, awesome. Just depending on our time. And that's how I did it with working with the water. I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, but it was really helpful. And I just went to Amazon and got an underwater speaker there, and it's really powerful. I don't know if you ever experienced sound underneath water, but it's like a whole other level. So anyway, that's what I recommend, or just using the sounds if you're singers, or if you do chanting or kind of singing or anything. That's very out of all the sound healing that I've experienced, what is the most profound sounds is just my own voice. So I'll sum it up to that.
One of the things I was just going to mention, I just put some pictures just in the chat so you can see what I'm sort of talking about a little bit here. So one of the things we've always done when we used biofeedback is obviously frequency. So whether you're looking at Shandini Leray that basically taught Dr. Emoto, Mr. Emoto, for the hidden messages in water. A lot of people, Veda Austin, who's got some amazing stuff where she's looking almost like the doctor in a signature. So you could put a picture of a banana and the water will conform it. So it's almost like a imprinting in a way. When we go into our field with Insight Health apps or biofeedback, this is where we're taking it to another level. And it's not that it's more technical, it's a little bit more precise. So when I worked with Dr. Len Horowitz many years ago, with the Walk on Water, Jonathan Goldman, all those things we were doing, David Wolf, which I really love what David Wolf has brought to the table as a friend. Him and Daniel Vitalis brought something, probably the most important thing, especially as a climate these days for food and water security, is they started something called findaspring.org. And that is critical because right now the waters have been so contaminated. And when you mentioned, Amy, about stuff that's come in with the corneal mass ejections, it is literally charged. It is microwaving our planet. It's affecting the food in the water for like a mile down. And so even how to grow food, it's not just about using electrical culture and copper. We're having used this technology because what we're doing is we're taking, Ryan developed this. He was the pioneer of basically this. We take your voice and it converts into a math code. So you can do it through symbols, archetypes, or literally like rife codes, radionic codes. So we can convert yours. We also test it because using the sacred vowels, the tetragrams and stuff, correlates to the platonic solids, but you may not realize that it correlates to all the periodic table in your minerals, your life force. That's what our soul is. It's those electrolytes, those minerals. That's the spark of life.
It's
And
really connected to everything, isn't it, Karen?
yeah, it's water and salt. It really is one of my best books. It's called literally The Water and Salt, the Essence of Life. So when you see me teach here, you need to have this stuff in here. So you'll see me bring out these books here all the time, right? So that's how I teach, is that's where you need to have these kind of knowledges. These are some of the top things. These are all basically biofeedback, tuning forks, sound, all those huge things in here on that. All the electrical thing, like rife. People don't realize you've got a peppermint plant that has a certain frequency at 26 hertz. You could take it to an essential oil and it will become 76 hertz. The problem being is that people are very low vibration. So when you look at it from chakras, colors, whatever, all those color spectrums are basically have to do with frequency and numbers. That's why I'm saying if I need a tuning fork, 528 is nice, but honey, it's not going to like fix anything. Not at the deepest levels when we need to go into it. As Flix was talking about with these entities, you need to be able to tune into what it is. And that's what we do. We use basically sound wave, like a plasma in a way. And then we assess you and around you. And then what we can do that's miraculous is we can now take it, like I was showing you, we've got little plates here. And those are called imprinting or Lakovsky coils. And so what you would call replicator technology. And so what we can do is we can take the water, and I always like two things, well, maybe three. One is you, because you are who you are with all these different dimensions of you. The water, if it's spring water, is totally different. So I'm not talking about RO and easy water and everything else and doing the city water that's been, bastardized. When you have spring water, it's got original Oramus. It's also not gone through the pipes and everything else. So I literally go every 3 weeks up to my natural springs, go hike my water back. And then if you want to put MMS or you want to ozonate or put your essential oils and pray over it and put power plants or whatever you want to do, that's great. But the key is the voice. And then once your voice goes in, you're actually commanding the water. So I can actually take that water, then put it in the tub, put it into an enema, put it into a vaginal or yoni steam or a chair steams, because that's one of the most powerful forms of medicine is water through steaming. And then make your teas and then make your enema waters or whatever you want. And then I can also, the reason I'm here is because you nailed it, is that this is one of the most original, primordial, all-time immemorial glacier waters that there is in the world. And that's why I hear, that's why I have all those Hopi prophecy petroglyphs out here. So I got all the little cute little paintings out here that show the rays coming down and the 13 genetics. And this was a gathering of the clan women, the original, queens, as you think, right?
Is that why you're there? Yeah.
Yes. And then I was called in by the elders to come here and for protecting the sacred. And so this is one of the oldest tribes here is the Sinaiaks, unrecognized by Canada and the States, I might add. Right. So
I've such a ton of questions for you, Karen.
Yeah.
Please let's schedule in another
we'll have another talker Zoom. I'm happy to do that. I just want to share that. I'm just going to bring a little plate so you can see. So what you're doing, these are very easy. These are in sacred geometric shapes as well. So they're like a copper imprinter. And what they're doing, they're taking your voice and they're vibrating it literally at a microscopic level in that radio wave. And so when we're confined to what you think the 7 chakras, we're working in those higher dimensions. If I want to go 20,000, I want to go 30,000. You're going to remember what we see is limited and what we hear is limited. So we're going extremely high and extremely low frequencies. And from that, you can use these sort of sound speakers, exactly what you're saying. You're taking the speaker and you're vibrating that in, and we can convert it actually into fractals. So I can actually do fractals at the same time. And so everyone's voice is different. Everyone's got a voice print. And that is how I'm actually doing the command to start breaking that, and especially for people if they have been injected or got stuff like that. And we do the piloerection and we start getting into breathing so that you can literally, just like when I firewalk, right? If we start doing this piloerection, or basically what you're saying, like with Richard Bartlett, the matrix energetics, if you can get the matrix to actually activate and shield, it's not about thinking it anymore. It's about, I'm going to see from here to here if every cell and every hair can stand up immediately, just by thought. Or even if you have to say, you know, shield or whatever your keys will be, should be preferred not in English, but in your mother's tongue. And in there, I wanted to show you some of the new light technology that we're using. There's an example my girlfriend had threw in my recliner. We are using light as well, light and sound. So we're using the binaural beats or the hemisync, okay, to use that 40 hertz. And what you're doing is we're resyncing the brain, because everyone's brains are being scrambled from all this wiring and excess, you know, microwave and everything else, and 5-6G and whatever else is being hit at us. What's happening is we've been able to use this light technology, and it's a light, sort of a flickering, but it's coordinated. It will go into sacred geometry and patterns that will affect the third eye. And so you can actually see fractals. So you can actually do microdosing now. We've been getting people that have had severe Alzheimer's and dementia coming back. And so you can imagine what we're doing for post-traumatic stress and everything else that people have done. But then there you're seeing, I actually pioneered, that's my own technique that's been pioneered. It's my CALM, K-A-L-M technique. Because what you can see, there's a sacred geometry plate there. The water on there, there's a water. And the second thing I work with, after I trained with Dr. Gary Young and everyone else, is the essential oils. Because the essential oils are the only thing. Herbs don't go in interdimensionally, oils do. So between the essential oils and the water, I can re-imprint them with hundreds and thousands of excess frequencies that you, through your own voice, have actually created that blessing. And from there, you're commanding and taking control back. That's where you're getting your real sovereignty, I think. And so these are the type of techniques we've been using, as light, sound, and in some forms, magnetics. Like not everyone, this is not for everyone. You know, obviously, if you've got seizures or, you know, different things along that line, certain magnetics, pacemakers, pregnant, we have things that you shouldn't be doing. That's why I went to the water, as you can see. You know, I can make that, literally, I could program peppermint by frequency into that water, and you'll taste peppermint water. You know, I've done a lot of people that say they were very acidic, giving them baking soda water. From here, I can send it to you in Ireland. I can send it anywhere in the world within minutes, because we're working on that carrier wave.
Yeah, let's do some of that.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karen. You're such a wealth of important information. It's hard for me to even kind of remember half of what you've said, because I get such brain fog these days.
Well, we'll help you with that. And like I said, I do consults all the time, you know, as you guys call readings, right? So I do one-to-one. So it's not just teaching, but I went into telemedicine and doing this a long time ago. So when you get me, it's not just doing therapy. We are literally doing thousands of tests at the same time. So if you're going to be low in a certain mineral or vitamin because of some whatever attachment or whatever's going on, you may be having something genetically you're not aware of, or, I mean, like I said, it can be so insidious. You know, we pick up the strangest things on there that it's not going to be in the forefront of the mind. So it's like going to every specialist in the world, but you are that specialist, because it's all from within that you are,
absolutely,
you know, tapping into. So it's just a higher form of, basically, I don't really use pendulums and stuff like that anymore, or these kind of techniques that a lot of people like to use. And the reason why, even though I've got the Hander Cougar stuff here gifted to me, is that there's too much disconnect, like it's disharmonic here. There's discordance, incoherence out here that we can feel. So it's actually affecting, and it's flipping a lot of people's poles and giving them inaccurate results. So I prefer to kind of do this. I can back it up, but a lot of times I'm finding these other methodologies are just being too interfered with the external environmental, attacks that we're taking from these direct energy weaponizations upon us. So it's another form that you can do and to protect yourself and houses or pets or whatever we're doing. But my focus is the water. So when I do the water, I bring it here and I take it from the
It's
spring
so
and then I
it's
give
so
it back to the lake.
It's so interesting how water's really coming up at the moment. And when Amy was speaking earlier, what was coming to mind, one of the things that was kind of a theme that was coming to mind is how we are really in a period on Earth where our consciousness is evolving. But within that, what they keep saying to me is that it's not limited to Earth, it's everything, it's the universe. And when Amy was speaking, what was coming to mind is the water consciousness expanding at the moment. So and I could see that. I'm because I'm very visual. So I could see that when Amy was talking, that there's been an expansion lately of and I get information very quickly sometimes. So when Amy was speaking, I could see that the consciousness of the water is expanding at the moment, and how that is been triggered, or there's a reaction there to do with some of the more nefarious situations that have been deliberately created by the negative agenda and technology, to tsunamis, for example, and things like that, and how that would trigger the water to have
Shift.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I know that we're really pushed for time, and I don't know. There's so many. Let's definitely do a part 2. Maybe even we can even do a part 2 next week or something with the same people. And what else was I going to say? I'll keep my notes from this evening. Normally I don't keep the notes, but I'll keep my notes from this evening, and we can schedule something in for next weekend. Maybe even at the weekend, maybe on Sunday, we can do like a special. But I did want to ask Flix, please. Would you do a light language channeling? And I'm sorry to Amy that you didn't get to speak more, but maybe you can do more next week with Karen as well, and Flix.
And can I ask for a subject for one of the other months that Karen just mentioned, about what is sovereignty, and then on all the levels, so it's clear for everybody? That will be awesome.
Yeah, I can give you the international original laws of it because I'm one of the holders of that. So we have a lot of this stuff on sacred artifacts. Like I've held the literally copper plates and bust them. Those are your original contracts with the other queens, right? Like which would have been your monarchy and from those Tudor lines and stuff. So we have basically made them all illegal aliens and foreign agents right now. And we're coming after them.
Good.
Yeah,
Well done.
that's part of that. So, getting back to original customs usages and laws on that. So I think that's amazing. So I can show you some of the actual stuff that I've held, because people like even Sabrina's groups or other different groups I've been with, they actually don't know the law, and we need to reteach. It's the women and the power of the women, because when you went into matriarchal, it was the only thing that was balanced, that everyone had a complete agreement. It had to be 100% of the entire community. It wasn't about women running things. It was the only time it was everyone had a say at the table. And if it wasn't 100% consensus, it didn't fly, which is why you only have those few treaties. And that law is still in here to this day. So I'd be happy to share that with you. You can see a lot at Meredith Quinn, tribal laws. If you Google that, and you'll see some of the stuff that we're doing. But yeah, I'd be happy to share that. That's quite amazing. And here, I'll send you a picture of what you see, what they look like. This is the stuff
Meredith Quinn.
they don't want you to know. Yeah, Meredith
you.
Quinn stuff. There you go. Nobody coming in. There you can see them.
Oh.
You should be able to get the energy off of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Those
I
are
put that picture on my computer for own use only?
These are, you know what, this is totally open information. Anything I'm giving you in here, you can also look up mine, which is the it's called the Cleopatra needle. It was one of the original obelisks that was with the Clan Mother Treaty for all the Noah's Ark for all the white tribes. So if you know what the it's in Central Park. So we have them in different spots in the world. There's one in New Mexico, one in Colorado. But the Cleopatra needle is one of our markers, just like those you'll see. So, yeah.
And that's the last clan. The white clan is the essential one, the North clan that needs to come together with the other ones. Yeah.
Here's ours right there. That's considered to be for the Noah's Ark.
Oh, yeah.
And the Cleopatra tribes, or we also call it the Camel's Eye. Yeah, or Eye of Isis. We have different words for it, but there you go. And that's why a lot of them are kept hidden. They're not all in the Vatican, but there's one there. There's another one in just north of Mexico City and stuff. So you just need to know where to look. That's all.
There's so much information there, Karen, and for everything, for all the images you've shared this evening, it would be lovely to share them in another podcast or interview or whatever you want to call these roundtables. So Flix, will you please, because we've been on now for 2 hours, would you please
I can do it the next time if we do a version 2. That's fine too.
I think it would be nice for the audience to if you could do a light language.
Yes. And what
and what we'll do every month is we'll take turns so everyone will get a chance to because I know Amy is very gifted as well, and within channeling and light language and her voice, and also Siren Wind as well, who can't be here, can't be here this evening because she's doing stuff, and there's also Sheila Tillich as well. There's many people, many women who are part of this 13th Goddess Galactic Roundtable every month, and not everyone can make it every month. So over to you, Flix.
I always make it for the highest good of all and invite my own aspect within my sacred space. Shuatra ay akta amaya uta. Ime daya at harakaya at shut ut kamai ke. Ute ashaya ami utama ayat. That's it. Short message. I just allow what comes through, and this is it. And it's usually very back to the essence of what it's supposed to bring forward. So I don't know how it felt for you, but that's it.
Great. Yeah, we'll send that to you. I'll send it to you on Facebook. It's probably easier if we're going to wrap up here shortly, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Please send me your links and your websites, and I will put them in the description box. Thank you so much for this evening. It's been full of really important information that needs to be shared to as many people as possible. So please do share this roundtable, and I shall see you all next month. But let's also arrange for another one next week, like a special thing.
Mhm.
And I'll send you an invite on there as well. Yeah, thanks, Amy. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Karen Ann MacDonald, Amy Starseed, Flicks Love, and Christy Campbell, who was with us earlier. We all do sessions. We all offer people some type of spiritual work in different forms. So please come and check us all out. We all carry a similar yet different individual frequency vibration. We are all here to help in this time of great awakening of humanity. So come and like, share, subscribe, all of that. It's this, the great awakening of humanity is not done by any singular person or group or individual. This is a collective thing. And we more than ever need to work together and uplift each other and raise each other up. It's all about frequency, energy, vibration of the I am presence, not technology. That is something else. Okay, guys, so I'm going to stop talking. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Selma, for this opportunity.
Thank you for your kind invitation. I really appreciate it, and your help and your understanding. This is a time of peace and bringing all the women together, and so that we can go out and help all of our communities here. This is really important, critical. So thank you for putting this together and facilitating and holding this space for all of us.
Thank you, Karen.
Spasibo.
So much. See you next time.
See you soon.